Hello, welcome to Mostly Off Topic Plays the One Ring Role Playing Game, first edition. We haven't yet found a DeLorean that takes us forward to second. It's only a matter of time. We're going to be playing Loftar Dragons as per usual, and I am joined by Ben.
Hello.
Joe.
Hello.
Matt.
Hi there.
Fantastic. Who with his glasses looks like he's got android eyes because it's just the screen reflects. It's like got a hood mode Loftar. Hello, welcome. I'm Paul. I'm Lord Mastering this adventure. So we're playing Loftar Dragons. We're on episode 18. My gosh, this is our 9th session, episode 18. I will recap because I did actually watch the old episode. We moved to a kind of like a monthly sequence of the game as opposed to fortnightly, which we were doing before, primarily just because of workload and time availability and things like that. And we'll divide this session up into probably 2 videos like we do normally. Keep it to around about an hour and a half, an hour each, just to make it a little bit more consumable. So I'm going to say the things I normally say. So spoilers for Laughter of Dragons. We are playing Laughter of Dragons. We do stick quite closely to the book, though. There's been a little bit of riffing and divergence. We pull some things in, push some things out, but pretty much we are playing as per the book. So if you are in Erebor or you're thinking of Laughter of Dragons or what have you, then just be aware there will be spoilers ahead. I think we're fairly safe. I think my little hobbit is possibly gone to bed, possibly not. So we may get interrupted. If we do, then there'll just be a really bad edit where I just chop his video out and we'll move on. And then just thank you everybody for your views, for your comments, for just kind of like recognizing the work that we're putting out. Generally really awesome. It's really endearing to us. It makes me feel happy, which is a very important goal in life. And it's quite rewarding. We do love the interaction that we get. And we'll be pushing stuff out about 2E, second edition, kind of around and about as well. And we are going to put this into audio podcast. There, I've said it. I will now have to do this. So for those people who prefer to consume stuff through audio, or it's just easier because you don't have YouTube open when you're in commuting or what have you, we will push this out to podcast outlets. I don't even know what podcast outlets are best nowadays, but you'll find it. We'll publish where we can, I guess. Okay. Shall we just go through what happened last time?
Yes, please.
Yeah. It's been a while.
That would be really useful.
Like I remember, obviously, but
in case the audience needs just to be caught up. Yeah, okay, understood. So there you spent the fellowship phase in Erebor, and then you kind of like headed back. At the request of the innkeep, Margaret and Gareth of the Golden Sheaf, where you had spent quite a year or two residence there, back into Dale, and they had told you that they were concerned about Domi, the dwarven lawmaster who had left earlier in the summer, just as you were getting involved in the shenanigans of the Lord of Ashbrook. Now, as you kind of came back into Dale, you got a strange feel about the place as it pertained to you all, and you kind of understood that the subterfuge of Balin in terms of his fake death had kind of hit the reputation of the dwarves within Dale. Having lost Balin, the community of Dale had pulled together, feeling like they'd lost one of their own, only to think that they'd been duped a little bit. And that the dwarves maybe were back in their mountain laughing, at the people of Dale for the prank that they had pulled, and the death of a Lord of Dale in the cells of Erebor didn't kind of really help that cause. Lots of explanations, lots of insurrection claims, and so on and so forth. But lots of people considering that to be dwarven propaganda. Or not really accepting it. So there's a downtick in the reputation of dwarves within Dale. But the Gareth and Margaret knew you very well, knew your honesty, knew your commitment, knew your skills, and they had requested you to investigate the fact that Domi had been away for a period, that somebody had tried to break into his room, that there had been an attack on one of their maids who kind of was known to service the room. There was undesirables hanging around outside and such like. So Gareth had let you into Domi's room. Sirk and Torg had found a set of letters from Domi to King Bard and to King Dane, I think, talking about a coat of mail that Girion, King of Dale, had received and had paid with the emerald necklace that had been given to Thranduil after the Battle of the Five Armies. A fine coat of mail, a legendary coat of mail. And Domi's research had indicated that this coat of mail had been laid to rest with Girion's son, who had laid to rest in a mausoleum somewhere in Middle-earth. And Domi had come to Dale to try to find this coat of mail. And his research, you think, had led him to its location. So Sirk, you kind of understood the references that he had for the Chamber of Erebor, where he had been researching, and the various conversations that you'd had with him on various topics. So you kind of thought, if you got into that library, you'd probably be able to follow a similar research path as he had. And Loftar had gone and trailed some of the undesirables and had kind of like found that they met in the market square and so on and so forth. So definitely the inn was under watch, but it hadn't established exactly kind of who that was. So you kind of hightailed off to Erebor, and Sirk immediately started to undertake the research, probably a bit of an all-nighter in the chamber. And you, Sirk, had found that there were 3 potential locations where Girion's tomb could have been located. 2 of them were quite close to the eastern edge of the Grey Mountains, and one of them was further west in what was... further east, sorry. So 2 close to the west, 1 further east in what would now be known as the Wastes, but would previously been part of the Kingdom of Dale before the desolation of Smaug. And one of the ones that was closest to the west, just beneath the Grey Mountains, was approximately the amount of time that Domi had said he was going to be away for, if he had planned to make a return trip. In the meantime, Loftar and Torg had been kind of called, or had decided to head across to see their friend Balin, who had been in discussions with his brother Dwalin. And there was a little bit of a tense conversation that developed there, where I think Torg had really kind of thought that Dwalin had lost sight of what was important. Dwalin was about the coat of mail. It needs to be reclaimed. It needs to be reclaimed for Erebor. It's a treasure of the dwarves. And I think Torg, as I recall, had been saying, well, hold on a minute, there's an actual dwarf at risk here. Should our focus not be on that? And there had been a little bit of pushing and shoving in a figurative sense. Though you got the impression that you gained respect in the eyes of Dwalin by standing for what you believed and being forthright about that. So you know, the commitment to your principle and your not kind of getting pushed out of the way and holding tight, even though he had pressured you, whilst he might not have agreed with your view, he respected you more because you kind of held firm by and large. He had been saying, get Sirk here, I want him here, we're going to get to the bottom of this, and Balin had just decided to pull you away a little bit from that situation, which is where we finished last time. Hoping that's just...
Yeah, that's exactly how I remembered it.
I was just writing some notes on my OneNote notebook actually, and I did have some of that.
I've got it written in a notebook somewhere. I just have a stack of notebooks like 7 high next to me, and I'm not sure which one it is.
I remember the letters in Domi's room.
Yes.
And the fact that the maid at the Golden Sheaf had been attacked, we never got to speak to her because we hightailed it
Yeah, we booked it out when we saw people following us, didn't we?
Yeah.
And also, you had investigated, well, or you'd formed a view that possibly the dwarven barfly, whose name I can never remember, had died.
The dead one.
Donar had
Donar.
died. Yeah.
Organ donor.
Organ donor. That's right. And
Donar kebab.
and your theory was that it was possibly a suspicious death, and that orcs or orc play
Yes.
had been at play.
Yeah, what was that based on then? There was
Nobody really know
evidence.
how he died. I think is what it was based upon. He'd been jumped,
But I'm sure Loftar did his Columbo impression and managed to find some kind of clue that it was an orc.
Correct.
Oh, it was there was a similar marking or something to the orcs
There was
that
a
we
cloth.
found outside of there.
There was a cloth that had been found by the door of Domi's room. That when Gareth had disturbed whomever was breaking in, had got caught on, I think, the fences to get out of the stables, and Loftar had identified it as being orc.
Because I do know a thing or two about an orc.
It smelled of orc. It tasted of orc. Yeah. It was worn by an orc.
Mm. Was it must? Did it have orc must?
It had a lingering smell of filth. So I guess that meets the description of orc. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So did we get Balin's take on it? Because he was very quiet during the encounter with Dwalin.
You didn't really. So what happened is Dwalin was there. Dwalin is intense. Yeah, where Dwalin is, everybody's like in his orbit, in his scope. And what Balin, they'd been having a bit of an argument before, and clearly they had been disagreeing on the way in which they should approach this. Dwalin had suggested that I would say that Balin was just kind of like too soft. He needed to be stronger about this, and Balin had just kind of like put his hand on your shoulders, and he was walking you out of the room when we closed the session last time.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I suggest we pick up there then in the underground kind of kingdom under the mountain, the darkness of the room. Go on.
Do we have enough to? Because we've got quite a lot there to go on. So do we have enough as a group of players to set our objective for this session?
Get out and get on our way to location number 3. Or the one we think it is anyway.
Okay. So go looking for the coat of mail.
Go looking for Domi.
Okay.
What about look for orc?
And if we happen to find a super valuable magical coat of mail,
you can have it.
Bonus.
That sounds cool to me.
Ideally, if we can do it without letting Dwalin know.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I suspect this. We want to. I'd rather go find Domi. If we locate the thing, great. But if we locate the thing, I'd rather we make a decision of what's done with it rather than it.
Yeah.
Because it could be used to make some appeasement.
Yeah, we'll need to.
Go on, Matt.
No, I just want to finish with. We'll need to hash it up, basically, for the big man, not to big dwarf, I should say. Just hush it up a little bit.
Okay. Shall we speak to Balin before we set off?
He is.
Well, you guys are kind of being escorted to me at the minute. So
Yeah, but Dwalin's fucked it off, hasn't he?
So
Dwalin is.
Go on, sorry, Joe. Sorry, Matt.
No. It's. I think Balin is. He's been trusted. Obviously, we've known him a little more. But I guess that will, if we do speak to him, that tests our relationship a little bit. In a sense, what if he then speaks to Dwalin? There's a little risk there that they may be
He was
better
arguing.
mates.
They were arguing.
Yeah, Dwalin's on our side. Balin's
Right.
on our side. Dwalin wants the coat of mail for the dwarves and only for the dwarves, kind of thing.
Okay, so the risk doesn't seem that high then.
No, but what I mean is you're being escorted to me by Balin. Did Dwalin stay behind? All right, so yeah. But I say we get out of Erebor before talking to Dwalin.
So as an objective, so let's think about the objective first, and then we'll present that, and then we can think about the actions we need to take to
Make our way to see Domi.
Yeah.
Start searching the three locations.
Well, we
basically.
know I've got I made a pretty good roll at the end of the last session to know that it's the one that we made. We know which one it is, essentially, or we know which one, like at character, we know which one to go to, and I can basically say the likelihood is it's this one.
So you rolled Gandalf with an exceptional success.
Yeah.
I make it sound like I remember this stuff, but I just watched the video.
So yeah, we pretty much, if we don't know where it is, then that target number was ridiculous.
Let's assume we can find that location.
Yes. Our aim is to head towards, to try and go and find Domi and make sure he's all right.
So our aim is to attempt to find him, and hopefully he's still alive. And I guess what about with Balin? With Balin, we just we just want to consolidate our relationship with Balin by bringing him in on this, and maybe
tell him we know we've got a good idea where he is. Make sure Balin's basically our primary quest giver at the minute, so we want to kind of ensure that he's kept informed and on board until his little icon goes to a different colour.
Yeah, he's not our line manager, but there's like a dotted line.
Yeah, he's our project sponsor.
Yeah, totally fair. Yeah.
Hopefully, in second edition, these kind of roles will get more clarified in kind of like managing successful programs language.
Yeah,
delivery manager, is that a culture?
Business change manager.
And Loftar heads up our improvement team.
Yeah.
Prince style, right?
That's right. He's a prince amongst men.
Dwarves.
No. Amongst dwarves, he's just a commoner. But amongst men, he's a prince. Okay, cool. So anyway, in any case, right. So summary then. Objectives as a group is to make your way towards where you think Domi is, get to the location, work out what's there. But I think it would be fair to say the scope of what you could say as an objective would be to get on your way there, because you don't know what's going to be there, so you can't really say do X, Y, Z.
Yeah, we want to try and get there, essentially.
And to do that and consolidate your relationship with Balin, kind of like bring him in within the circle of trust, etc., etc. Okay, so Balin's got his hands kind of on your shoulders, and he's kind of like half ushering, half leading you out of the room, away from Dwalin, who seems to be almost feeding on his anger. You know, he's now angry because he's angry, not because he can't quite remember exactly what triggered him, but you know, he's starting to kind of like get a little bit like that. Well, you've just got to let him get over these things, haven't you? So, shall we talk with Sirk? Balin says in that kind of pseudo Welsh voice that I've decided to use for him again.
That's nice. Very Michael Sheen. I Lord Balin. Let us see what young Sirk has unearthed in his studies.
Ah, yes, that would be a good plan. Now,
there's not that much difference between me and you in age, is there, in this? I love the way you refer to him as young Sirk.
I'm loading it up. Make myself look good in front of Balin.
You're also smoking a HB pipe.
Yeah, old Holborn.
Now, the as you're kind of like walking through, and Balin's quite navigating the corridors, and every so often somebody kind of like nods their head in recognition to him, and he kind of like nods back, moving you through the dimly lit corridors of stone, and then out into the massive main hall of Erebor. And you connect Dwalin's kind of like that rage and intensity that he had to the experience of Smaug being around, and some of this is possibly the dragon madness that he could have had. And as you kind of move past the tomb of Thorin, kind of like Balin just kind of nods his head a little bit, and a great sadness seems to kind of come across him. And again, you kind of like get a little bit of thought, so okay, let's maybe cut Dwalin a little bit of slack, because his great leader, the person he put all of his faith in, lies in tombs within there. And Balin, kind of as you get in towards the Germans, so now it's not quite as it's not quite as straightforward as I would like it, if I'm honest, because I think I've not done us as many favours with my deeds in Dale of last year. I didn't intend for the Dale's folk to get so upset about that. I thought it was the way, and I guess I'd have to do it again, but I'd maybe have to try it a bit different. And well, as King Dane says to us, without the city of Dale, the kingdom under the mountain isn't worth much. Not just because of the trade and the exchange, but what's our purpose if we can't be good companions with our nearest friends? What is it that we're here for if we're not able to build that relationship and sustain it? At that point, the divisiveness and the shadow is already kind of won, hasn't it? So I think we need to think about that and need to see how we can best rebuild that back. We're on a bit of a low ebb at the moment there, but I guess what I'm saying to you, it's a little bit rambling, but what I guess I'm saying to you is that sometimes the interests of the Kingdom of Dale is the interest of the Kingdom of Erebor too. And we have to be thinking more long term and thinking about managing how they can succeed so that they can help us succeed. And again, not just because of the trade and because of all of the food stuffs that they provide us, and as basically we'd starve if we didn't have them there, but also because that's the principle upon which the kingdom was founded. That's what the relationship is symbolic of. And I think I and the King Dane, we both firmly believe in that, and I may have taken a misstep, and I may need you to help place it back, I guess is what I'm saying. Sirk, there you are. You look tired, Sirk.
Yeah, I probably look incredibly wired as well, though. I know where he is. Let's go.
Oh, well, this is all moving a little bit fast. Could you just slow yourself down there, Sirk, for me? What is it that you found?
Well, he might be here, or here, but he's here. Let's go.
Okay.
Wait,
if we want to catch up with Domi, he's here. He has to be here. The only logical location.
What is this place?
I don't know what's there, but he's there, and that's where we need to be. So come on, go. We need a cart, because I'd rather like to sleep on the back of it for most of the journey.
That's quite a way. That's a few days away. Sorry.
That's why we need to get going now.
Is there anyone else around at the minute?
Not really. You're kind of like in an antechamber. There's one of the wardens of the chambers going up. Shh, because you're kind of in the chamber of Mars.
I just point at Balin.
Shh. I have no authority here. Perhaps we should go.
I'll apologise. My apologies. My friend is very excited about these the untold lore and knowledge to be found here. I guess, kind of try and judge Lord Balin's interest in this. So,
somewhere close we can go, or do we have to go back to your halls?
So you believe you found Domi's location?
Well, he was looking at 3 locations. and only one of them fits the circumstances of his leaving and the timings involved. So we need to go if we're going to have a chance of catching up with him.
Let us.
Well, Balin,
How about we just go somewhere else? I've got a place that is not frequented and it's not very far at all.
Come on then.
So he takes you out into the vastness of the Great Hall, and he leads you down towards the end. And he steps across into the threshold of the chamber where Thorin lies. Not into the main chamber, but the flickering blue and gold light that you can see slightly in the distance of the Arkenstone. And there's a solemnity to this place, this sacred and respected place that even Sirk, in his kind of wired state, everybody's voice just drops a little bit and everybody's movement becomes a little bit more measured because of the sanctity of the location that you are. So, Sirk, Torg.
Notes, map. Red notes. Found location on map. Lots more to it than that, but we don't have time.
What do we know of this place?
We know Domi was going there.
Do we know anything of the location?
But not beyond where it is on a map. We've not been there.
Where is it from here? Is it south, west?
So it's northwest in the Grey Mountain Narrows. So two of the places. So essentially, the map that Sirk has is essentially that strip of the northern Dalelands with Erebor and Dale kind of quite to the bottom of that. Then you've got the Withered Heath immediately kind of like north. So you get the Kingdom, you got the Northern Dalelands, you got the Waste, you got the Withered Heath, which is itself an extension of the Grey Mountains, and the gap between the top of the Forest of Mirkwood and the Grey Mountains mountain ranges, where two of the locations are. The third one is further off towards the Waste, towards the other end of the Withered Heath. So none of those areas is, this isn't a day trip out to the coast to kind of get your feet wet and buy an ice cream. This is potentially quite difficult, possibly quite dangerous terrain, right on the edges of what would have been the old kingdom of Dale before the desolation of Smaug.
So we need to tool up.
But is not now within the boundaries of the kingdom by any measure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Sounds interesting.
Get out here and get going.
I'm actually agreeing with Sirk. I think a walk could do us, a trek could do us good.
From the other bits we've seen in the city, if anyone else is after him, or if where he's going is dangerous, we need to catch up.
Balin does his top.
Tool up.
Domi,
get loaded for bear and go.
Domi left in a rush with minimal supplies.
Exactly.
And he left. I think he left alone. So
he left the inn alone, but you didn't really see where he went after that. You do know he had at least a couple of stout dwarves accompanied him on the way in, but you don't know if he picked anybody else up. And to kind of get from Dale through to the Great Mountains, you do have to go through the Northern Dalelands, which is essentially the first place that the resettled city of Dale granted land to. So you've been through Ashbrook and such. You know there's lots of farmland. There's hamlets, some sizable villages, market towns maybe. So in theory he could have picked a load of stuff up as he went through. Don't know.
But I say we prep for not being able to do that. I'd rather be able to spend a little bit more time here, maybe, grab what we need so that we can just go when we're on the road.
Yes, I think that's sensible. We need to be prepared, because otherwise we might meet
Loaded
the
for all.
fate of Domi. Oh.
So I think in our petitioning of Balin, we need to highlight that we're keen to protect Domi.
He's
been, he's a useful dwarf because he knows so much. His studies are unparalleled in Dale, and
Mine are close.
he will be beneficial to the kingdom of Erebor.
Balin's, I agree completely. The knowledge that Domi has is invaluable to us, invaluable. And that must be our prime goal, but I think it would also be worth seeing if he has in fact found this coat of mail, because it might be
What do you
something...
want us to do with it if he has?
Well, it's a complicated situation, I imagine, but whichever way it goes, if we were to repatriate that to Dale, then that would be a grand gesture. Now, Domi's letters.
On board.
Domi's letters talk about how it rests with the son of Lord Girion. So you could argue that is Dale's by right. So if we were to find this and return it to them, that's an heirloom of theirs, dwarven made. It could reforge the relationship once more, couldn't it? That's what I'm thinking.
Win-win.
Well, it's difficult now with all these dwarves that are short-sighted in their need for glory for dwarven kind. But they're the kind of
maybe we
dwarves
can
where
look at building some glasses when they get back.
what they forget is that the glow of the Arkenstone is a glory, but it's also a bit of a curse. It's in relationships forged and looking out for one another that the true majesty of the dwarves resides. And that's not the artifacts we make, that's the behaviours that we display. Sometimes you do have to fall on your mattock for what is important. And for instance, reclaiming Moria, now that would be a worthy endeavour of anyone that undertook it. That would be reclaiming dwarven lands, Durin's folk and Durin's home. But is it really worth us sacrificing everything for a finely made coat of mail? Because we've got the lesson of the glow of the Arkenstone to teach us what happens when you forget about other residents of this world and focus just on the artifacts of this world.
Great,
Well,
so you're on board. Cool, let's go.
You speak wise words, Lord Balin. I think we should leave the best use of the coat of mail to you. For you know more of the politics of Erebor and Dale than we. But we will gladly retrieve the artifact if we can do so and save Domi at the same time.
It's also position at the minute. Let's go.
I think, though, that my star has faded a little, certainly in the eyes of the Dale people, and I must say I'm not the most popular in the eyes of my king at the moment. I've created a situation for him, inadvertently so. So any heroes that are able to return with the life of a valued dwarf and an item of great wondrousness, I think that they would speak with authority themselves. So perhaps we see how the land lies when the deed is done, before we decide what next course of action is best for us to take.
So are we going?
So basically. He's like packed. He's got the tickets, the train.
I'm merely representing my determined feet.
Yeah, no, he's already on a platform. So
He is. It's like going
he
to
knows what he's looking for.
It's like going to the airport with my mum, who has to arrive 4 hours early. Otherwise, you're late. No, just
as long as you spend those 4 hours eating Weatherspoon's breakfast and drinking beer, it's absolutely fine.
I can't do that.
Other pubs are also available.
Eating Golden Sheaf breakfast and
yeah, think of it more as a tactical approach to entering either Meadowhall or IKEA. I know the location I'm going to. I know the route to take, and I'm going in, getting what I need, and getting out.
Smart move.
There's no quick exit from an IKEA.
Not now. You can't do the little cut throughs.
So anyway, the description of IKEA is germane to your location.
Yeah. So do you
Is
think,
IKEA a dwarf or elven?
do you think it's worth us trying to enlist a couple of fellow dwarves to help us? Is that,
Do we know any?
or are we're trying to be secretive?
We want to get going, and also, I think the only ones that we could were those mates of Alaric, not Alaric's, Loftar's,
Yeah,
who
they're probably
have already
still
gone off Drake hunting.
Yeah, they're probably still hunting some drakes and stuff.
Well, if they're be in the right sort of vicinity for drakes potentially.
If we meet them on the way, definitely grab a couple.
I could send them a text to see where they are.
Send a raven.
If at least someone had taken that raven feat.
Yeah, okay. Well, we could explore that. So, do we have to then go back to Dale for that?
They're gone though.
They're gone.
Oh, so they're out and about.
It's if we meet them on our way to our location.
Right.
We've said.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we'll fill them in. They're good. They're good dwarves. They're
I
good
don't think we
lads.
could fill them in. They're rock hard.
Well, maybe not in that way, but we can fill them in with beer and persuade them that it's good to join our cause.
Yep, but I think
now I'm going to go
we get
back and
IKEA together and get that
I'm
done.
going to see if my brother has calmed himself a little.
Right.
He was angry.
He will not forget
Why was he
anything
angry?
that we've said now, and the wind is in his sails. So my suggestion would be that just leave him to me, and we'll see where that also lands.
I'm not
He'll
taking
just-
your brother on.
He'll just get aggravated again, I think, if he sees you soon.
Perhaps
seen
if we
me.
vacate these halls for a short time, that would be best for his mood.
I suspect it could be, though he may also wonder where you've gone. Suspiciousness.
Feel free to share with him the other locations. Preferably this one here, not near us.
I think the less I know about that, the less
I've told you. Then.
the less that I will feel duty bound. I'm not going to lie to my brother.
So if he asks, we didn't tell you.
Let's just
We just went off
Let's
Drake
just not
hunting.
get into the conversation, Sirk. There's no need to go where we don't need to go.
I know, but I know where we need to go. I've been telling us for half an hour.
I'll leave you here, but it's best not to linger in the glow of the Arkenstone too long. There will be a patrol come through, and, well, it's frowned upon.
Oh, you're getting us into trouble left, right, and centre. This one.
There is something strangely enigmatic about the warm blue glow of the stone. Perhaps if I may just gaze on it for a moment and pay my respects to the Lord.
No, it's time to go.
Yeah, I think we should move on.
Let's go.
No, you are right, sir. You're right. I don't know what came over me for a moment.
What he's saying is, were you reaching out to touch it? I just want to remain here with the stone.
As you walk out, the blue glow follows, centered on Torg's backpack. Balin looks at you and says, "The glow is enchanting. There's no two ways about it. No dwarf would not want to cast their eyes upon it and rest and watch it and its flicker."
There's more fascinating things in these halls than that blue stone.
It catches more than one's eye. I'm finding.
It does
Let
that.
let us depart this resting place.
What a
and
good idea!
disturb Lord Thorin no more
Hmm.
with our raised voices.
I'll go and settle
Well,
my
that's
brother
just,
down as much as I'm able. Now, as I was saying, the priority is Domi, but if you are able to retrieve the artifact, then that would be helpful to us. And let us take the long view here. Helping rebuild our relationship with Dale is the right thing to do, as well as I think the politically sensible thing to do. I like it when those things align. It makes my sleep much easier.
I'm sure there's instructions to build another one of this sets of armor in the archives anyway. If they're that bothered about it, we can find that and they can make another.
This is the work of a mighty smith, honed over years of practice. There are a number of mithril cults in the world, and they're all essays before he produced this masterpiece. I don't think it's as simple as that.
It's of dwarven origin, this coat of mail.
Aye.
Because he basically bought it off Thranduil.
No, so this is Gerion bought this using the emeralds that are now in Thranduil's gift. So the dwarves came by the emeralds in exchange for the coat of mail. So whilst it's dwarven made, and it is an artifact of fantastic dwarven cultural significance, it was bought and paid for.
Yeah, you can't steal it back and sell it again. That's just ridiculous.
Bought and paid for by the descendants of the current king of Dale.
Right. Get Domi, get shiny coat, get back.
Let's go. There's lots of arguments now, and time has moved on. We're looking back, almost 300 years perhaps? Maybe even more. 200 years.
Almost as old as you then.
older than me, I think. But in any case, before the chronology gets properly fucked up, because I've got it all down on a little bit of paper right here, and I can't quite read it. Let's just get on with the matter at hand, shall we?
You should see where Loftar got his glasses. They might help you.
Aye, they are.
True.
They are hobbit made, if ever I've seen them.
If more people, maybe they'd be less short-sighted if more of them had Loftar glasses.
This is Loftar's helm of ore.
It's Michael Caine. His coat of Michael Caine.
So Balin leaves, leaving you with the quietness of the resting place of.
I turn and walk out immediately.
Yeah, let's get some provisions and be on our way.
Goes back to wherever we've been hauling in this place, and start kitting up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we need to do it quietly as well, though, without rousing suspicion.
I don't think we're that notable. I think if we just get on
We're
with our
outsiders.
stuff. Yeah, but in the sense of we come and go probably fairly regularly. As long as they're not going to think anything of us tooling up and heading out again. Like, we're forever kind of going back to Dale and stuff and go for wonders. Unless there's orders for someone to keep an eye on us.
Dwalin was in a pretty foul mood. I don't know.
No, you lot should roll better.
Thanks. I will do better.
And some
next
points
time.
in the right places for when you talk to him next.
I don't think it was about rolling. I think it was about different opinions being expressed.
It's currently in my development plan, so that's obviously it's going to be.
Or be more lucky.
Yes. Oh, that helps as well. Absolutely. That's on my number one list. On number one on
Pump
the
up
list.
that persuade feat.
Okay, so
I've got a.
Oh, go on.
I've got nothing in persuade, so that's. Sorry.
Yeah, so you head back, gather provisions, clothing.
Yeah, if we can.
Billy the pony, if they got one.
Do we have an awesome cart?
We need to travel light, given that we're trying to be a little bit wary.
I just wanted to have a nap.
And then if we start walking around with huge packs, people are going to know we're off on a long journey. If we just nip into Dale, it's a different matter.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I think we need to be as conservative with the provisions as we can.
Tool up with what we normally do and then try and pick up stuff on the road like we think Domi possibly did.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Make sure I bring some treasure with me.
Okay, so it's currently early autumn. So you can take kind of like winter gear, better, warmer packs and such. Like it's late summer moving into early autumn, so it's around about early September. So you kind of get those kinds of provisions, things like that together. Okay, you don't get a horse and cart. You might be able to get one from Dale.
Pony and trap.
General. There's no ponies that are trapped.
Right. Sprinting it is then.
By foot, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
You make
Just
your
nice,
way.
nice, like a walk in the park.
You make your way through to the kind of to the grand entrance, and you get processed out through by the stone guard, who don't really pay masses of attention to you. You're known for being itinerant, for being of the adventuring type, as opposed to kind of like shopkeeper down in the corner kind of thing. But as you are kind of heading out, there is a courtier dressed in the livery of King Bard himself, a courier, wearing the thrush sign of the king. And he's kind of like sat around quite bored, and then kind of alights upon you, steps up, dresses himself down, steps forward. Am I addressing Torg, son of Tordek, Loftar, son of the other Balin, and Sirk?
It's pronounced Tordek, but yes, you are. And tell me, man, who are you?
I am here on behalf of King Bard, who has requested audience with you at his palace.
What? Now?
I am to request that.
I think
to
we're
attend
looking next spring.
as soon as you receive this message.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Did he send transport?
You're still thinking about the nap, right? Come on, Sirk.
I've been up all night.
He did not.
This king has bad timing.
He has the worst time. Did he tell you what he wanted?
I am not privy to the requests of his grace.
Well,
Shall we revisit these
We're meant
objectives?
to be mending bridges, aren't we?
Yeah. Shall we revisit these objectives, perhaps, and just have an audience with the king?
As long as by the end of the session we're on the road towards we're fine.
Yes. Yeah, that's very optimistic. I like that, Sirk.
It's all right.
Let's just go. Yeah.
we're gonna.
With our social skills, meeting a king, we'll be in a dungeon by the end of the session.
Oh yeah. I'll be in an hour before lunch, I think. Just a quick chat.
Maybe
have you
he'll
got...
catapult us to the Grey Mountain Narrows if we offend him enough.
So, offend him.
Well,
Yeah,
given that Lord Balin wants us to keep these men of Dale sweet, we would love to grace your king with an audience.
Yeah, we would be honoured.
We lead the way, young.
So he turns and he kind of starts to move off at a fair pace.
Well, let's follow this.
Hey, we haven't checked whether that includes a lunch on.
Yeah, what sort of time will we get there?
Will there be mead?
Exactly, that's very important.
I'm sure that the king's bounty will be made available to you.
I don't like coconut.
Oh, right.
It's a dark chocolate bounty.
Oh.
Slightly better.
Not so bad. But,
It's like a step in the right direction.
And you're taken down through the road by the river running. You know the route, and the huge solid walls of Dale in front of you. The late autumn, there's a cooling breeze. The temperatures are warm, 20 degrees. That kind of like temperature, cooling breeze coming through. Dale is winding itself down a little bit, even as the surrounding countryside is ramping itself up. as the harvest is starting to kind of get collected. The actual merchants that tend to come to Dale now need to do the return journey back a little bit. And you move down. Sorry?
I was wondering if Joe's colouring was autumnal or red light district.
A bit of both. Move to Brokenstone, and then you move into the city proper. Lovely blue skies. Mid morning by the time that you kind of get down there, and now the weather's turned a little bit. It looks like it's threatening rain. The temperature's just dropped a couple of notches.
Can we slow our pace slightly so as to arrive at lunchtime?
You can if you wish. You start to hold back a little bit, Tardy.
We haven't been in the city for a while. We're just looking around at all the sights.
Yeah, but the flowers.
You're starting to sound like a hobbit, Sirk.
I was up all night reading.
Sirk
I'm hungry and I'm tired. You haven't provided me with that. I'm trying to secure some food.
Did you find no nourishment in your books?
You can't eat paper.
No, I mean nourishment of the soul or the mind or whatever it is you get.
My soul and my mind is nourished. My belly is empty. Let's go. Slower.
The courier's slightly confused as to why you'd go there slower. He knows there's an all-day breakfast bar open in Bard's Palace, so yeah. Bacon sandwich.
Do they have black pudding?
Yeah.
Not. They don't overcook the black pudding like in the golden sheaf.
They probably do. It's just left on a warmer.
But it's heated and then heated and heated. It dries out. It's terrible.
But you move through the affluent area of the city where the flowers are replenished as they kind of fade away a little bit. The smells of the juniper and the honeysuckle kind of lightens through the air. Very few wild dogs and such like, pretty broad open. The water kind of moving down, and then the bells start to ring as the hour comes in. Predominantly the stonework, and then into the pretty bustling market square. The traders around and about, less than there was at the height of summer, as people are starting to pack up and move away. And you catch sight of Kelda, looking much older than you kind of remember her. And she's a little distance off, and kind of she moves off into the crowd as you kind of are moving through. But she had a bit of a spring to her step still, and she was very much kind of with it and talking and chatting to people around. And then as you kind of get into Market Square, on a slight rise to the west of the Market Square, bathed as you can see now in the almost midday sun, is the magnificent stone palace. It's built of dark polished stone quarried from deep within the lonely mountain, and the top of the facade rises in a kind of like triangular shape. You think of something like your classic kind of like Greek classical building with the pillars and the columns of stone, and then kind of like a triangular facade. It's very much like that. And the facade is dwarfed only by the walls. Even the kind of like tallest bell towers doesn't rise above this. Partly because it's a big building, partly because it sits on a natural rise at the centre of Dale. And you go through, warmed by the sun on your back, through into a courtyard. And Loftar and Torg, you see that the buildings that formed this natural kind of narrow as you step from the big square into the smaller courtyard below are whole stone buildings. Most of the buildings in Dale are stone ground floor and then wood upper floor, but these are stone. It occurs to you that whilst this isn't a keep in a castle, it's still a pretty defensible position. You couldn't just break through these. You kind of see, whilst there aren't gates there are the kind of pinions from which gates could be hung. So it could be made ready in time of siege as necessary. Idle thought past your minds that could an orc carrying some mystical black powder blow up this defense and bring ruin to the stronghold of man, but you dismiss that as a work of fanciful fiction. Could never to pass in this Middle
There's
Earth.
no random guttering here.
And then you step into this courtyard. So there's groups of people gathered around the courtyard, groups of what you would think would be the different classes of Dale, but all dressed as well as their status and as well as their station allows. Some of them are perched on benches that are placed there. Others are huddled in small groups. There's a fountain in the centre of the courtyard that blows water up through, and then it comes crashing down onto a beautifully carved body of a dragon, kind of submissive, clearly kind of like about how Dale is now figuratively and literally on top of the enemy of Smaug. And the dark marble pillars that hold up the facade and the porch kind of reflect the light back. They're highly polished. It's a wonder to behold. You know that it was dwarven made. You know that it was constructed by and supervised by King Dane himself, and the detailing and the kind of engineering that has gone into this is magnificent. And kind of behind that, you can see that there's another layer to the palace, which has got windows that can be opened and shuttered from the outside to allow light within, and they're mostly shuttered at the moment. And as you see at the facade, there's all this beautiful filigree work that rises up from the pillars and kind of like forms the base of the triangular porch front, and then turns into almost like the trees of greenwood. So it's almost like the pillars are the trunks of the trees, and then this filigree leafing kind of rises up and runs underneath. And there's countless numbers of thrushes and other songbirds that are kind of caught and picked out, and as you kind of like eyeing this, and the eye is just drawn up through these pillars to this beautiful stonework, you can see that some of the thrushes have been painted just to stand out a little bit, so the light doesn't quite reflect off them, but the luster, the light passes through, and then kind of like it feels as if they're lit from within. And there's a carving of a human and a dwarf, hands clasped in the warrior's greeting, with an anvil below them and a sheaf of wheat above them. And sitting on the anvil is another one of these thrushes. And gathered about those, kind of as if in the background, there are a number of humans and dwarves engaged in stereotypical pursuits. The humans toiling in the fields, the dwarves toiling in mines and forges. The humans used in dwarves the humans using tools that the dwarves made, whilst the dwarves eat the bread and meats that the humans had produced. So the message, the symbolism of this is quite plain. There's no subtlety to this message in terms of what it's intended to communicate there. And as soon as you go through the porch and you see this lovely dwarven lamp dangling down from this huge chain from the porch, it just swings gently in the breeze, and you step within into the cool but murky great hall of Bard's Palace. There's a small antechamber that have some doors kind of like heading off, through which a few officials kind of like step, and then the stout double doors. And even though there's these line of windows on either side, the light just diffuses into the space of the pillars that rise within, and it is incredibly busy. There's pockets of people gathered around. There's the chancery, which is a court of equity. There's the chancellery, which is a court of law, and they're just being held out in the main hall. So you can see that there's a couple of figures that are kind of holding court there, and cases are being brought forward in front of them. The courts are all held standing up, and the scribes kind of taking various notes as the magistrates or the courtiers listen to argument and counter argument that everybody's very politely passing over. But the noise pollution from one to the other, it echoes in here. So it can be quite hard to make out your precise thing, and you see a number of the guards standing guard, very proud with the bowmen, the archers of the city, and there's numerous kind of like people carrying pastries and other kind of like food and drink, handing out to the people that kind of like reside within. And following the courtier, you're taken more towards the end. There's this like an unwritten rule about where you can head as you get towards the throne that's raised on a dais towards the main end of it, with this huge tapestry behind of King Bod unleashing the arrow into the underside of Smaug, the dragon. The throne is empty, and beside the main throne there is a smaller chair with a lovely small cushion set aside it, and you see the handiwork of old Kelda there on the cushion, as its vibrancy and its aliveness of the birds that are caught out there. And then to the other side there's a smaller stool kind of presented there, all of which empty. And the courtier kind of passes over, and a figure parts company from a number of other officials and heads towards you, working with a very dainty, kind of almost kind of like affected manner. This is not a man who either toils in the fields or toils on the battlefield. He's got kind of oiled hair, so that it kind of like holds a little bit of shape as it's kind of like coming down. Waxed, kind of like moustache, slight jowls, kind of on his cheeks. Lovely, beautiful clothing, the velvets, the kind of gold tracing on the edges of his clothing, and he kind of comes and stands in front of you. Oh, hello. So you're the mighty warriors from Erebor. I am Thane Jofir. I am a son of Jormund, a humble servant of the king. And the king has entrusted to me the question of Domi and his letters, which we received a while ago. I am given to understand that you gained access to Domi's room at the Golden Sheaf, and perhaps retrieved some materials.
We did look in Domi's room, yes, and a pleasure to meet you, Jofir. But letters, I know. Loftar, do you know of such letters?
Getting them out of his bag.
Did we find any letters?
So let's have a insight roll.
Would anyone mind if we had a 5-minute comfort break first?
Should we have bullshit roll?
Yeah, shall we take 5 minutes?
Yeah.
I just want to go grab a drink, if that's all right.
Yeah, okay, yeah, cool. So we'll take 5 minutes then. Okay, so we'll be back in 5 for the scene.